Warning, this podcast may cause excessive dad jokes, sudden bursts of motivation, and the irresistible urge to high-five yourself.
Welcome to the Daddius Project, where we help dads master the biggest and messiest project of your life, dadhood.
I'm Scott Batcher, recovering perfectionist, dad of one teenage girl, and a guy who once didn't sleep for 6 months straight.
And I'm Evan Hill, professional chaos coordinator, dad of 3 teenagers, and living proof that duct tape can fix a sippy cup temporarily.
Each week, we'll hit you with real talk, dad hacks, and the kind of inspiration that doesn't require matching socks.
Ready to level up? Let's build this dad life together. So today we're going to talk about who's more important, Scott or Evan.
I think we all know the answer to that one.
Yep. It's the guy on your left.
That could change.
That might be the right answer.
That is the right answer. Who is on the left?
Yeah.
Or the right? And we're not talking politics here, by the way. Politics free zone, although probably not. We'll probably talk about some of that kind of stuff at some point. Maybe. I don't know. We're not Americans, so we can just talk shit anyway. Yeah. How about
today,
how about that craziness with Elon and Trump, eh? That was bananas. I all I heard was like second, third, fourth hand, but I don't even know what's going on, but they hate each other and then they love each other again. Sounds like it's just like a normal relationship, doesn't it?
Sounds not masculine. You know what I mean? Like it's, and then you've got all these other influencers that like, oh my goodness, look at what Trump just posted. Oh my god, and it's to me, it's what's happening is not really what's happening. It's just too obvious. It's just way too obvious. It's like way over the top.
Yeah, and to say I know what's happening, no idea. But I don't think it's what we see.
No, I don't think it's what we see either.
There's more to that story.
There's more to that story. But yeah,
hey,
getting into,
you know what?
Let's get into
they're
what
both
really
dads.
matters. Yeah,
they're both dads, by the way.
They are both dads.
They are both dads, and they matter.
Yep, they matter. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Is really the chapter. It's chapter 2, and it's titled "You Don't Know How Important You Are." This chapter really is one of the main reasons why I'm so passionate about this movement. When Scott and I discovered that we were both in this dad space and helping dads with various things, and we joined forces and we were doing podcasting together, and then that evolved into all kinds of ideas, especially because of Scott, because he's very creative with ideas. And so
I'm the better dad. Yeah. I'm the one on the left.
Yeah. So he's just like ideas guy.
Ideas galore, implementation 0.
Yeah. And so it evolved. Everything evolved in our project, and it got massive. And we had this idea of writing the book. And we started doing some research, and we discovered how important dads are. And the research was like beyond shocking. It also hit me really hard because I had real life examples of this research that I remember growing up. For example, people that were growing up without their dads and what kind of people they were. And I'm not saying this is the case all the time, but I had definitely some aha moments where I thought to myself, wow, this is too frequent, too frequent in when I'm observing different people in my life and what was going on with them and their families and whether their dad was present or not, and how they were associating with me, how they were doing in school, how they were as as a person. Were they a bully? Were they going down the path of drugs and alcohol? Were they um, were they playing sports or were they skipping class? Uh, were they getting a job or were they just smoking up and wasting their life and playing video games? So it was my personal experience plus the research and even in my own family. I had some examples as well, but that wasn't really uh, the biggest aha for me about how we don't realize how important we are. The biggest aha for me was with losing my dad. I lost my dad when I was 17 years old. He got cancer when I was 15. And little backstory. So my parents, they separated when I was about 8, and I have a very limited memory of that time in my life. It's very strange. I think a lot of people remember a lot more than I did from 8 years old and around that age before that. Me, no. Um, when I was living with my mom and I was lucky. My dad lived down the street about 200 meters away, so I was able to still be in his life and spend weekends with him and that sort of thing. And then at age 13, I moved in with my dad, and it was just him and I. It was like we were the two bachelors, and he taught me a lot. It was a really good experience for me. So I had 2 years with him where things seemed, from a health standpoint, were good, but there was some things happening behind the scenes I didn't realize, and then he was diagnosed with cancer when I was 15, and I remember, uh, I remember when he told me. It was in his bedroom. He was sitting on his bed, and he said, "Ava, can you come in here?" And he's like, He said, "I have cancer." And luckily it's the one that they can fix. They can. He's like, the chances of me being cured are in the 90s, like 95%. So you're gonna have your dad. And so me being a 15-year-old, I'm like, cool. That's great news. I'm gonna go play
Bad
baseball with my
news, good news.
yeah. I'm
Bad
gonna go
news,
play.
good news. Yeah.
I'm gonna go play baseball with my buddies.
Yeah. I'll see you later, Dad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
that
the
chat.
news. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a lot like that. I was in my life. I had a lot of friends. I was playing sports. I was in grade 11. I was settled. Like, I had my life going, and I didn't really actually no. I wasn't in grade 11 at that point. I was in grade 10, and I gradually watched my dad decline in health. He was a very strong, well built, muscular dude. Although he didn't work out, his DNA had a lot of muscle on his body, and um, he had this big beard and big hair, no grays, no sign of balding, just a lot of hair. He was just like the Wolverine with like
Did he have like a big hairy chest and back as well, or is it just his head?
no, no, not a hairy back. Yeah, mostly he just had a lot of hair, and he couldn't wear a baseball cap because his head was so big that it wouldn't fit the clip. He couldn't clip it at the back. He had to have it open.
So that's where your big head came from.
That's where my big
Makes
head came
sense
from.
now.
See, look at
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
big, just look at that noggin. And I watched him change, and he shaved his beard, and I couldn't even recognize him. You grow up your whole life knowing your dad with a beard, and all of a sudden the beard's gone, and he's lost a lot of weight, and it was a lot of change to handle. But the biggest change was when I got pulled out of school. I remember I got pulled out of school, and the teachers there, they knew the situation. They knew that my dad had cancer, and they pulled me out, and they were like, "Your dad's in the hospital, and we got to get you to the hospital as soon as possible. He's not doing well." And I didn't know. What do you mean he's not, like, this is news to me. I didn't know that, like, we were at this point. So I went to the hospital, and it was his final days. And we're like sitting with my dad, and he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which leads me down to another huge part of my life, was learning about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and the contributors of it being toxicity, the main one. And he was getting a lot of, like, phlegm and so on in his lungs, and so I'd be like beating on his back, trying to loosen it up so he could cough it up and get it out. I was trying to heal him.
Mm.
But yeah, that didn't work.
Do you think? Looking back that you were just a naive 15, 16, 17-year-old, or do you think he was really trying to protect you from that? Like, because you knew he had cancer, and it was a long 2 years later or something, and then all of a sudden, you're like, what? He's in the hospital.
Yeah. Yeah.
So is he doing what dads do to protect you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. For me, it's a real kind of dichotomy where, us as dads, we really try to do everything we can to, protect our kids from everything and anything. But I think, I guess what pops into my head is I wonder what Daddius would do.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some kind of, balance point or something along those lines where, I think for my own self, it's like, okay, if I was diagnosed with cancer today, how would I approach it? Would I protect the family and, either not tell them or downplay it, or would I open up about it? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Until it happens, you don't really know, do you?
Uh, yeah, I think I know. Yeah, because it really did come as a shock. It came as a shock to me, and I felt betrayed, to be honest.
I can see that.
Yeah, just like misled. I know he didn't. I know that was a story I made up. It was like, I'm sure with good intentions, and maybe he did. He either, he was either protecting me and just allowing me to live my life and not have this burden, or what he thought was a burden. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
part of it, right? Like, as a dad, you don't want to, like, burden others, like burden your kids, especially your kids. You don't want to burden your kids. You don't want to burden your wife. You don't want to burden your
Mm.
friends, and so we carry the burden. And, I can't even imagine like what he was going through. I remember, and I don't know if he had, I still to this day don't know if he had anybody in his life that he was really confiding in, and sharing how he really felt. I don't know.
Mm.
I never saw my dad. I saw my dad cry one time, and that was in those 5 days. And yeah, I've definitely cried in front of my kids a lot more than once.
Hmm.
Um, and that was a conscious decision. I talked to my kids about the stuff that's not going well. Um, yeah, I share with them. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. It's just for me, I have found a huge benefit in our family uh, and how close my family is. And because I share with them what's going on, challenges that I'm having, how I'm feeling about the situation, what I'm thinking about for them, what I'm thinking about for their mom, my wife. Um, yeah, because I was really left in that situation with a lot of unknowns. I think I probably would have done things differently had I known that my dad wasn't going to be around for the rest of my life, or that there was a chance. When you're told that like you're going to have your dad, and nowhere along the line did he say, "Listen, I don't think I'm going to make it," until it was like I had a few days.
Mm.
I'm grateful for those few days. I know some people don't have those few days, and um, it's gone in a heartbeat. But the pain of losing my dad, having being able to talk a little bit. We didn't really talk that much. We didn't have deep conversations. He didn't open up to me like I do with my kids, for example. But that's okay. Like he did say some things that I've really held on to. So we had some important chats. Um, the the part that it took a long time for me to get over the anger of losing my dad, the because I felt like he wasn't treated the way he needed to be treated. It wasn't detected early on when it probably should have been. Um, yeah, there was just a lot of anger around how all that happened, and also that I'm at a young age. I don't have my dad. Like that really pissed me off.
Mm.
Um, but the biggest part is that like I missed him so bad. Yeah. Um, it's like it, like the it's funny because like growing up as a teenager and all that, being with friends and doing stuff, and there's just this assumption that my dad's going to be around, and my mom's still alive, gratefully. And I'm at a point now where I recognize like she's not going to be alive forever.
Mm.
Obviously, we know
Hmm.
that. But when we're younger, it's not really something that crosses our mind so much, that one day your dad could be gone. And and to actually go through it and have that huge like spiritual connection, family connection, somebody who's in your corner. like your dad, like.
And I think that's like, there's a difference between, say, for you, and actually losing your dad, your father passing away, and a lot of what's happening today, where there's fatherless homes, right? Where the dad is still alive, and I think that's one of our big missions, right? Number one is to somehow, I don't know how we're going to do it, but somehow in the future look at this idea of, well, young men committing suicide and the rates of issues there. But these young men are either already fathers or maybe about to become fathers and never get a chance to be. So I don't know how we're going to do that, but we're going to help there. But right now we're talking about the idea of, if you're a dad out there, but you have somehow, through some reason or another, you're not part of your kid's life, and maybe thinking, oh, it's for the best. Maybe there's been, I don't know, there's issues in your life where, somehow you got to that point where you think, my kids are better off without me.
Don't want to burden you.
And yeah, don't burden them, right? And in most cases, that's just straight up not true, right? Like, the stats are overwhelming to show that fatherless homes grow broken kids.
Definitely, they're going to be swimming upstream in so many ways. And the stats, like, I mean, just to throw out a few stats, um, 71% of high school dropouts are fatherless. 85% of youth in prison have an absent father. Children from fatherless homes have 4 times greater risk of poverty. Fatherless children are more likely to experience problems with sexual health, including a greater likelihood of having intercourse before the age of 16, foregoing contraception during intercourse, becoming teenage parents, and contracting sexually transmitted infections. Nearly 90% of unwanted teen pregnancies are in homes where the father is absent. 90% of unwanted teen pregnancies. Wow. Fatherless children are more likely to smoke, drink alcohol, and abuse drugs in childhood and adulthood. Over 80% of youth with a serious drug abuse problem comes from homes with no father. I mean, I could just keep going on and on, like obesity, mental health, suicide. Up to 60% of youth suicides are correlated to fatherless homes.
And there was a stat that we didn't put in the book, but and I don't remember the reference to tell you that, but it was an interview done, and this was a few years ago, so it may not still be the case, but at that point, I believe it was every single one of the American school shootings were fatherless homes. Up to that point, every single one. So these kids are not just, skipping school and smoking weed. They're to such a desperate point in their lives that they'll go into their school and shoot it up and then kill themselves. Like, it's scary stuff. So, Dad, if you think, you're not important, wake the fuck up, basically.
And
but with that said, I'll make my point and then you can make yours. Shut the fuck up, Ev. I'm making a point.
I'll shut the fuck up.
Okay, thank you.
Well,
now I forget my point. No. Okay, got it. With that said, though, you might be a dad on here that we've done a podcast in the past about this, deadbeat dads. Not sure if you remember that. back in the Wake Up Dad show days. So, a lot of men out there are struggling too. And, you might be what we call a deadbeat dad. And if that is the case, you got to wake the fuck up twice and get yourself in order and then get back in your kid's life. That might be the road back to it, but it's so important.
Yeah, the
Go
key
ahead, Ev.
really is.
You can have your point now.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
The key is being in your child's life. Geographically, yes, there's times where geographically maybe there's separation there, but you can still be a part of your child's life in a big way, especially with technology now. And I know sometimes, this really bothers me, but it's been this is how it's been for a long time, where courts favored moms getting full custody, and it's just it rips my heart out when I hear about dads who want to be in their kids' lives and they can't even be with their kids. I think that's just an awful an awful way to treat somebody, or is to and the loss that the kid's going to have as a result of that. It's really, it doesn't make any sense to me that that's how it's been. Talk about the ultimate punishment in a divorce situation. You lose your wife and you lose your kids. Um, so um, yeah, it's just scientifically, like, well, I mean, with the research, if we're going to call that science, the research shows that kids do way better when we're in their lives. And also, this is where our mission comes in, is when the family's intact, there's benefits to that, where, because like you're able to, as a dad, be involved in the day-to-day stuff. It's those moments where, it's those teaching moments, those parenting moments, those times where, or those times you can reinforce good behavior, or be there when um, somebody really needs to listen, and to be that person who is able um, to really get the attention. And there's a lot of things, like, obviously we're not putting down moms here. This is not what this is about. Like, both are bringing a lot to the table. There's a reason why there's two parents bringing up a child in, and that um, two have to come together to make a child. And
What?
yeah,
Is that how it works?
I know.
Oh, I thought it was that big
Well,
bird
you've
in the
got one,
sky.
so you should have figured it out.
Yeah, big bird brought my kid. Just kind of
Dropped
showed
it
up.
down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just floated.
Yeah, yeah.
It was in a parachute. She just floated down. Oh,
Oh, look at that.
we're go- we're gonna need to get another one.
Hey, honey, look what just landed. So, yeah, so it takes two to make one, but it also takes two to raise one, and to really give that child the best fighting chance. And we do talk about, things like the deadbeat dad stuff in our book. Like, there's certain things that it's okay, if you're doing this, just stop. Yeah, there are some things, like, kids are sponges. They are watching. They're learning from us by example. So, I mean, you can also mess your kid up by being present in their life. And we're not saying be present in your life messing your kid up because you're doing stupid shit, like you're snorting cocaine or shooting up heroin, or like like just
or
all
just
the stuff
or
that we
just
know.
yeah, or not
There's,
treating your own body right, having no purpose
yeah,
in life, having no passion, having a
yeah,
bad relationship, fighting with
yeah,
your
yeah,
partner all the time, not
yeah,
communicating, like all the stuff
hmm
we talk about. And
yeah,
it just comes back to this same thing. This book, as we wrote it, is I
hmm
didn't think it was going to be this way, but to be the best dad, you got to be the best man. You know, it's all about you.
yeah. Like the
No
impact that
one's
you
coming to
can
save
make.
you.
That's right. You go on this journey, the dad project journey, and work on yourself. And you're going to have a really good chance at raising amazing kids. And and so it is in our court. It's in our court, and um, we really have to take personal ownership. We have to take personal responsibility, and and do the work. Whether it's the Daddius project that you're doing, or something else where you're reflecting, you're looking at what you can do better. You're not that guy on the team who's like, I don't need to learn from anybody. I've got everything dialed in. I'm perfect. Um, I'm right. They're wrong. Uh, all
That's a
those
big one.
things. Yeah,
That's a big one.
that's a big one, right? Like, and for a lot of men, that shows up in everyday conversations, and but they're not even realizing they're doing it. So, and coming back from this, and sometimes that's just a cultural thing where men, feel because they're a man, they're in a position of dominance, and what I say goes, and these sorts of things. And I think it's one of these things that type of behavior or perspective can really hold a man back from what's going to benefit his family the most. Yeah. So, any further thoughts, Scott?
Yeah, I've got a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the difference between a guitar and a fish?
Um,
You can't tune a fish.
yeah, that's true. That's good. So,
Oh, and have you heard the one about the skunk? The story about the skunk? Ah, never mind. It stinks.
that's good. That's good. I like that one. I like that one. That's good.
You like that one?
In this episode, we got to sub this clip in right now with Jordan Peterson that I told you about. And he's talking about this exact topic about dads
About
being in their
tuning
kids'
fishes.
life.
Oh, okay.
Know about the stinky
Right.
skunk? No.
Wouldn't it be cool
Yeah.
if like, and I always thought this, hey, like the next evolution of say television is smell. So you got the sight, you got the sound, but if your television could like concoct these chemicals inside, so like if it's a cooking show, you can smell it.
Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. There's
That
some
would be
shows
cool.
that I
Like,
would not want to smell.
oh, I that the skunk made me think of it, so
Yeah, yeah.
probably not that one.
Yeah, it's probably numerous smells that maybe we could just the cooking shows smell, but nothing else. And, you know,
Well, yeah, you can choose. It's like mute, right?
right? You can mute the smells.
Yeah, yeah,
So what would you call that? I wonder. Smoot, smoot it
smooth it.
instead of mute it. Hit the smoot. Well, you can't. You got to have a different name because if you say mute it, they're going to mute the sound, not the smell. So Smoot it.
That's true. So smoot is good because you're flicking through the channels, and all of a sudden, like I don't know, the farm show comes on. You're like, quick, smoot it.
Oh yeah, the farm smell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm still an active chiropractor, right? And people ask questions all the time about, oh, you know, how you do these stuff and is it weird and stuff. You know what the worst bit is? The smelly feet. When
my
it doesn't
God.
happen often, but when it does, there's something about it. The other day it happened, and
Oh my God.
it was even like even
It's
as it was happening, I was like, it's not even that bad a smell, but I don't know.
oh yeah, it can be
Is
like
it?
awful depending on like teenage
Yeah,
boys, for example. The
but but
just
it but bad feet smell is bad feet smell. It's the same smell.
oh
Different
yeah, but
people. What it's the
nylon,
same.
nylons,
Nylons.
nylon feet smell. That's
Oh,
that's like oh.
just sweaty feet. I guess the nylons make them sweat more. Maybe I don't know.
We had
Never
this
heard of
thing.
nylon feet
People
before,
are
but
probably wondering why are we talking about this, but with the type of chiropractic that we do these checks through the feet actually. So we're checking leg lengths and so on through the feet. So you're going down there and you're checking the feet, and so you're right there,
yeah,
and it's a these are crucial checks. You know, you can't not do this depending well with our techniques anyways the way we've been taught it's this is a really really important thing so
people often ask, "Oh, do you want me to take my shoes off?" Nope, that's good. Nope, that's okay. No problem.
just
No, you can leave them on.
you can leave them on yeah
You can leave them on.
you can just leave them on no problem we had a we got it down to like you're bringing your own socks every client either brought their own socks or they traded their socks with the socks we provided
Like
and
fresh
now
socks.
fresh socks. We yeah, because
Yeah.
it was just we can't.
Well, there's a thing in Australia here where a lot of people just go barefoot, and I could just imagine that
Oh
scenario
yeah.
is on steroids in Costa Rica. Like the I could imagine shoe stores don't really exist there.
Mm,
They'd go under, wouldn't they?
yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for the input. That was. You give me a little more, a little bit more, little bit of context.
Yeah. Yeah. I prefer socks in the practice. That's all I'm gonna say. Yeah.
That's all you can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cover feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, final thoughts.
final thoughts. Dad. Oh, dad. I guess it comes back. I think we've used this analogy before at some point, but if you're in an airplane and the masks come down, you really want to put the mask on your kid, which is be there for your kid. So as a dad, it's be there in the way that you can be, depending on your situation or your situation. But number one is put the mask on yourself first. So that, that's our biggest mission here is to, just shed a light on how important you guys are. And because of that, that might be the impetus you have to better yourself. If it's not for you, then for your kids, because you have to have a big why in order to do what you do. So that's my 2 cents. What's yours?
Yeah. I think the that really hit home for me when you were saying like, do you think your dad was protecting you? And that
Mm,
concept of being being a burden and that showed up in my life at one point where when I got really sick and I know I felt like I was a burden on my family and there was times where I thought it might be easier if I'm not here and
mm,
I could see that could be something that a lot of dads could feel um, if they're struggling and if things aren't going well. Um, But man, like I would give anything to have my dad in my life. And so if he felt like he was a burden, more important than anything in the world was that I still had my dad. When I lost him, it took
Yeah.
me. I still not fully over it, and this is like 30 years ago, and the intensity of that experience and having lost him, like I had trouble in my life for many years because I was just replaying so many things in my mind over and over, and I had a real challenge mentally, emotionally. Um, it really impacted me on a deep, deep level, and so yeah, it's amazing how it's possible that a lot of dads could think like it's not a big deal. A lot of dads, I think, could think it's not a big deal. If I'm just not there. If their mom could do a
Yeah.
better job.
One of the exercises in the book, we talk about this idea of what would you want your kids to say about you at your funeral? If your kid had to stand up now and give a eulogy about you, what would you want them to say? Would you want them to say, well, I don't even know what to say because he wasn't in my life? Or I don't really care because he wasn't in my life? Or do you want them to know who you are? Right? Like even, that's what stood out to me with your story too, was a couple of times you'd said, I still don't know what he was thinking or how he was feeling. Right. And that's the difference, right? You as an adult now will look back on that and never know, but wish you did. And so that's what we can change, right? I think we learn a lot from our dads, and sometimes it's great things. It's like, yes, I want to do that with my kids because that's what my dad did with me. But sometimes you learn from being the opposite. I'm never going to do that because that's what my dad did. And we're never going to be perfect. And our kids will probably say the same thing about us. There's certain things they learn from us, about what we did with them that they would want to do with their kids and what we didn't do. So we're always just trying to be better. Always just trying to be better.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so dads, we have on our next episode our first guest since we've launched the Daddius Project podcast. So he's going to be our first guest. Excited about this interview. And I think it's going to be a great one, especially for dads who feel like their passion in their life and their marriage is, in a funk, in a rut. Could be talking about separation, divorce, or thinking it. And this is the story of a dad who really he really got through it in a very good way. And so yeah, he's going to share his story with us, and I'm actually not even totally sure what the details are on this, so I'm excited to hear how that all went down. So we'll see you on the next episode, guys.
See you then, dads. That's another episode in the books, dads. Remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was dadhood.
True story. For more tools to build your best dad life, grab our book, The Daddius Project, or join us at daddius.com.
And hey, if you learned one thing today, you're already winning. Even if that one thing was never trust a 3-year-old with glitter.
Words to live by. Now go forth and dad like a pro.